Development hell, a term meaning a project, concept or idea that remains in development for an especially long time, moving between crews, scripts, game engine, or studios before it begins progressing. And the Stargate franchise has had quite a hard time moving anywhere when it comes to video game releases. Whether then it's Tetris-like puzzle game for the Game Boy and Game Gear, or the Stargate 1994 for SNES and Mega Drive, there actually hasn't been a successful release of a Stargate game that is a faithful adaptation of the show. But there almost was one. Stargate SG-1 The Alliance, a cancelled game that was so close to being released before it was shot down by numerous internal problems between publisher and studios, leaving the developers of the game disappointed. Here's the moment the writer of the show is told the game he also wrote for has been cancelled.
You wrote the script of the video game Stargate The Alliance. Now it's being cancelled. How do you feel about it?
Was it cancelled?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I thought it was being postponed. I didn't know it was completely cancelled.
Postponed, and then in February they announced that it's cancelled.
Did they say why?
No.
Today, I want to give you all a look at the perfect Stargate game that could have been. And even now, consider how polished the game looks 15 years on. I will not be able to share the method I used to actually get the game playable and working, but at the very least you have all this footage and you can see what the game was supposed to be like. Bear in mind the game is an alpha, so you're going to see a lot of weird assets being put places that shouldn't be, characters running around and hiding behind nothing, also teleporting for no reason. I think you get the idea.
Well, I suppose now is the time for me to say something profound. Nothing comes to mind, let's do it.
Here's a first look at the loading screen for the game. As you can probably tell, this is being played on an original Xbox. After a few attempts it eventually loaded, and I was greeted with this section. Continue single player, multiplayer, options and extras. Though I will warn you, every single one of those breaks the game, except for continue. If you click options, as I'm showing here, you're able to type in a profile name, and it then booted me out. Under the continue option, the only one that works, you have an option to quick select maps. At the beginning, I had no idea which was which, and I was not under the impression there was even cutscenes in the game. So I start at the beginning. Clicking on the first mission available, I presumed that every other subsequent mission was like this too. Empty areas, just with the basic assets in there. As it turns out, later on we will find the tutorial of the game, which I'll be showing that for the first time. But otherwise, this section still impressed me. I just can't believe how much effort went into the design of the game and how accurate it is to the show. It is such a pity it was never released, but I think the developers did an amazing job when they worked with Unreal Engine 2. This is a section that made me laugh. A lot of the frag grenades don't actually have images, they're just P90s. Also ladders, just glide up them, kind of like a conveyor belt. This was cool though. This animation is fully fleshed out and you can find quite a lot of them throughout the game. This level is based in Star Command, when Jafar breached the gate and a self-destruct sequence is initiated. The next dev map I want to show you is this one, with a train floating in the sky. Also a bunch of wood, for some reason. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I actually couldn't find this mission later on, so I have no way of actually seeing what it was supposed to look like. As much as I'd love to show you every single mission in the game, which I'm sure I could probably do at some point on stream, I cannot fit it all into one 10-minute video or so.
All right, Chuckus!
If you guys want to see more of this game, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. Mission Mu, or M00, is the beginning of the game, the tutorial section. I'll let this play out for a little bit, show you some interesting characters you can meet along the way, but then the game's curse, the inevitable crashes.
General, would you mind getting the door?
valve pressure set to 2 at the moment. Repressurizing the containment could take as long as 2 hours.
What do you mean?
Well, since the leak, there's been a build-up in the valves.
So any pressure to the container could help slow down the buildup?
From our calculations, aye. I think that should do the trick.
Well, it's gonna be your head if this happens again. Let's go take a look at those valves in the containment area.
Aye, it won't happen again, so...
After the interesting dialogue, you continue to follow the Doctor further in until you get a test for firearms. This section is quite fun. The game realised I was enjoying myself, so then it decided to crash.
Now
I've learned my lesson to never have fun ever again.
Alright, Major, we're gonna check things out. Alright, kids. Pilot. You?
Tilk decides to dance his way to the Humvee? The next section has you driving the Humvee around the planet in search of any life. I actually quite enjoyed it, even if the mechanics itself aren't quite finished, and Tilk just has his legs going straight to the floor. After phasing through a gate, because physics doesn't matter to Tilk, we end up pleasing Thor.
Thor will be so pleased.
And then we find the first few enemies of the game. I'll get into the combat aspect of the game a bit more in detail later, but for now, the combat itself feels quite intuitive. Multiple weapon choices and using the grenades are just way too much fun. The best part of this mission is certainly the dialogue sections. They really make you feel like you're watching a scene from the show. Here's the first one.
I believe we will have to leave the vehicle. Leave it behind? It's brand new. You know how much these things cost? And it's totally tricked out.
We must proceed on foot from here.
But my knees...
Sorry, sir. We gotta walk from here.
Budget be damned, I say.
Slightly further into the level, we end up sniping a few more people with the Mattock rifle, spawn camping another group, and reaching the next funny interaction.
Daniel, that's a bit of a stretch, don't you think?
Do you have any other ideas, great leader?
Don't great leader me. And as it happens, I've not come up with anything just yet. Carter?
I can't think of anything either, sir. I mean, we're here. We may as well search the spot and see what we can come up with.
Well then, in the absence of a better idea for myself or the rest of the team, let's check out Daniel's spot and see what we can come up with.
Also, to my surprise, we find the next vehicle we were able to drive, though I don't think Teal'c has the hang of it yet, since he went in head first and has his legs dangling out the front. Also, it seems none of the vehicles had any clipping physics done yet, so you can literally drive them through anything. Oh no. This next level shows off really well the combat of the game, swapping between weapons and methods of taking down enemies, while also using Carter's abilities to open doors and unlock bridges. I'll have this mission play out for around 30 seconds or so, and while that happens I thought I'd give a fun fact about the show. While the studio Perception never got to release this game, their work didn't all go to waste, as you can see the game's art and game engine in the episode Avatar in Season 8. Teal'c is trapped in a virtual reality simulation, in which he must defend the base from a Goa'uld super soldier incursion. After sniping a few more guys with the P90, it was time to throw one more grenade and end the mission.
Fire in the hole!
The next level, though, is beautiful. Really stunning. It shocked me the first time I started playing. Unreal Engine was definitely being utilised well here. A few minutes after landing, you end up having a conversation with the Talker High Council about Anubis, and obviously Carter's dad is there too.
What are you guys doing here?
Good to see you too, Dad. We infiltrated one of Anubis's bases. We learned that he's on his way here right now.
What?
Also, Carter's dad summarises the game pretty well too.
This thing isn't quite finished, but it's pretty close.
The next few clips are fragments of different missions you can find within the game, still showing the giant placeholder text, while others have you fight multiple waves of enemies, one after the other. Near the end of the game, you have to protect Stargate Command, and I quickly find out after some science that red barrels still explode. Also ended up bullying Jackson a little bit. Best part, getting to walk through the Stargate, fulfilling a childhood dream. Had a few hacking sections and some more enemies to kill with a shotgun. Sadly, the environment didn't have any destructible assets. I did luck though. Backtracking a little. Near the beginning of the game, one of the first few missions where you play as Jackson runs pretty well. You get to decipher some codes and solve puzzles. The frame rate also was pretty high for the most part. Also, spawn camping them never gets old. Might be the most satisfying grenade throws I've had in a while. These clips here show one of the end missions where you're defeating a Hacken who mind controls Carter. I could make another 1 hour of content out of this video, but I don't want to make this one a bit too long. To summarize my whole experience with this game, no one said it better than this man.
The Stargate video game was... I spent a lot of time working on the Stargate video game. I mostly was involved in the audio portion of it and the dialogue, and so the fact that it is canceled is very disappointing, because I think the fans would have really enjoyed that game.
They really would have. The end.